For decades, the Philadelphia Police Department has failed to reflect the city's majority-minority demographic. Today, the department remains mostly white.
And the recent classes of police recruits indicate that the department is likely to get less, not more diverse. NBC 10 investigative reporter Claudia Vargas takes a closer look at the police department's hiring process.
Maya Anderson lost her brother Lonnie to gun violence in 2009. He was shot and killed in their Germantown neighborhood. Since then, she knew she wanted to be a cop.
I had some really good police officers that helped me and my family out during the time, and that really kind of sealed the deal. I wanted to be that person that, helped people out.
When she first tried out for the police academy in 2017, she says she was rejected. She put down on her application that she was honorably discharged from the National Guard.
They said that I falsified by saying that I was honorably discharged and not generally discharged.
Maya only served in the National Guard for 4 months. She left because of her pregnancy, and due to the short nature of her service, she was given an uncharacterized discharge. When she applied to the police academy again last year, she knew what to put down. She was given a conditional offer to the academy pending a background investigation.
I passed everything with no problems, and this time, I believe Wednesday before the class started on Monday, they brought up a car accident that my sister was involved in.
Maya had lent her sister her car in 2017. Her sister crashed it, but the accident went on Maya's record. Maya says her rejection letter faulted a poor driving record as one of the reasons for her rejection to the academy. The second reason was poor work history, which she says was from when she was working odd jobs as a teenager. She was heartbroken.
I feel like that was just very unfair, and the only reason behind it is because I'm Black. Honestly, to be totally honest, that's just what it is.
Poor driving record, poor work history, poor credit history. These are the reasons that people don't make it through the process.
David Fisher is head of the local chapter of the National Black Police Association. He is familiar with Maya's story and that of many others like her. He says the cop selection process is arbitrary and racist. We spoke with several other Black men and women who were rejected from the police academy, some more than once. They all believe they were subject to racial bias. Some of those rejected applicants work for other police agencies and have even gone to the same academy as Philly PD officers. Remember, Philadelphia is 44% Black, 34% white, 15% Hispanic, and 8% Asian. According to Philly PD stats, most of the candidates of color who apply to the police academy do not get in. About 70% of academy applicants are Black, Hispanic, Asian, or other. Yet in the last year, only 29% of recruits were people of color. In January's class, no Black recruits made the cut.
That class alone told me how much racism and implicit bias is inside the police department, that nobody took notice of that.
Captain Tyrell McCoy is in charge of recruitment at the police academy. He took over the position in December. McCoy says he was disappointed by the lack of diversity in the January class.
I'm taking that in-depth look now to make sure that that never happens again.
So that's a problem for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. Personally, I would like to see a more diverse group of folks within our police academy.
McCoy wouldn't comment on Anderson's case or others whom we spoke to about their academy rejection. He says after someone passes the basics, reading and agility test, then comes a psychological evaluation and a background investigation. What are some of the things that would disqualify somebody in that process?
Well, it's very hard to say because we take it on a case-by-case basis. Of course, there are a lot of variables that we consider throughout the process.
The number of Black officers in the police department has been dropping since 2000. That was around the same time that a consent decree requiring the city to hire a certain number of Black police officers expired. A 1990 federal court order mandated that the city have the same percentage of Black recruits as the percentage of Black applicants. So if 50% of applicants were Black, then the next academy class would have to be half Black.
The consent decree was put there so that we could get on this job. If without it, I'd be just another rank still trying to become a Philadelphia police officer.
The police department went from 24% Black in 1990 to 35% Black in 2000. Now, 30% of the force is Black. Jeremy Wilson studies police hiring and recruitment. He says for many decades, police departments have denied applicants of all races due to criminal history, prior drug use, and debt.
If people have financial debt, then that might suggest that they make poor decisions or that somehow they'll be susceptible to graft and corruption in order to meet their debt obligations.
Wilson says some departments are starting to ease up on some of the traditional restrictions. Philly PD says it is calling previously rejected applicants and encouraging them to apply again.
With police reform being echoed throughout the nation, we're looking at a diverse field of applicants to take on this job that are ready and willing to serve, and now's the time.
McCoy says the department will be holding information sessions so that the candidates applying for the academy can be better prepared. As for Maya, she says she'll be applying to the academy for a third time. For the investigators, I'm Claudia Vargas, NBC 10 News.
City officials are taking action following an NBC 10 investigation into racial inequities at the Philadelphia Police Academy.
City council members plan to introduce legislation and hold a hearing after seeing the NBC 10 investigators report. Investigative reporter Claudia Vargas has the details and the police commissioner's reaction.
How could it be even humanly possible for us to have a cadet class that comes through the academy and there are no African Americans? You know, that's unacceptable.
That's Councilmember Sherelle Parker's reaction to an NBC 10 investigation detailing inequity in the Philadelphia police hiring process. The NBC 10 investigators reported that people of color who apply to the police academy have been disproportionately denied entry compared to their white counterparts. Nearly 70% of police applicants are people of color, yet in the last year, only 29% of academy recruits are people of color. In January, no black recruits made the cut. Now Parker and other council colleagues want to hold a hearing to learn about Philly PD's hiring process.
Explanations that are given as to reasons why the department doesn't reflect Philadelphia's population is something that we need to take very seriously.
Some of the academy rejection reasons highlighted in the NBC 10 investigation were poor character or a person's old driving record. Others have reportedly been denied for debt and bad credit. Law enforcement is exempt from a 2016 city law that bans the use of credit history to deny someone employment. Parker wants to change that.
I will be entering legislation to remove law enforcement as a protected class.
Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw says credit checks for potential cops is important.
Given the level of responsibility that we have, the access that we have, it's really important for us to use some metric to ensure that there's no potential for corruption later on down the road.
She tells us credit itself shouldn't be the sole disqualifying factor, but the head of the Philadelphia Commission on Human Relations, Rue Landau, believes credit shouldn't be taken into account.
If you use the credit reports and credit history to deny someone employment based on their debt or late payments on bills, then you are disproportionately affecting the Black, Latino, and other communities and other people of color.
The Commission on Human Relations is an independent body set up to investigate discriminatory practices, including in the police department. It is looking into police recruitment following our NBC 10 investigators report.
We appreciate your reporting. It has brought light to the issue.
The commission has subpoena powers and can look at past recruitment files. You actually have access to all the files, then why not just do a review of, is there a problem here? Is there an equity problem?
We could, and that we would definitely take that under consideration.
But Landau says she first wants to sit down with the police department and informally ask to review its hiring practices. Commissioner Outlaw says she looks forward to the meeting.
Outside set of eyes are great. Objective outside set of eyes are great.
The commissioner tells us the U.S. Department of Justice will be conducting a review of Philly PD's hiring practices and offering recommendations. The first meeting is this week. For the investigators, I'm Claudia Vargas, NBC 10 News.
Right now at 6 o'clock, changes are coming to the way that the Philadelphia Police Department screens applicants. Now, the new rules are a result of the NBC 10 investigators' report on the Philly PD's recruitment practices. Investigative reporter Claudia Vargas has those details.
Debt and bad credit may no longer be an impediment to becoming a Philadelphia police officer.
My hope is that for 2021, the city of Philadelphia and our police department can stop any and all practices of screening out job applicants or denying people promotions because of poor credit history or indebtedness.
Earlier this week, City Council's Committee on Law and Government passed 2 bills that could limit how law enforcement agencies use credit checks of applicants.
The ayes have it and the motion carries.
State law requires police agencies to do a credit check of aspiring cops. The city can't change that, but what Philly can do is limit how that check is used, including not doing anything with it.
When it receives information received from the credit check, that it in no way, shape, or form is denying someone employment, let's say simply because of a rating.
The changes stem from an NBC 10 investigator story this summer that detailed the racial inequities in the police academy. We found that nearly 70% of academy applicants are people of color. Yet in the last year, the recruit classes consisted of 71% white recruits and 29% people of color. The local chapter of the National Black Police Association tells us that many black candidates have been denied entry into the academy because of debt and bad credit. At Tuesday's hearing, Parker mentioned the NBC 10 story as her reason for the credit legislation.
NBC 10's investigation highlighted for us some of the reasons applicants have been denied. Poor character, a person's old driving record, and bad credit.
She tells us later that her phone was blowing up following the NBC 10 investigators report. She committed to addressing the issue.
Your story helped to raise awareness.
During Tuesday's hearing, experts said that denying applicants based on bad credit disproportionately affects people of color.
Individuals in these communities are more likely to have poor credit histories due to historic racial and economic injustices, such as predatory and discriminatory practices in lending and housing.
Rue Landau is the executive director of the Commission on Human Relations. The group is an independent body set up to investigate discriminatory practices, including in the police department. On Tuesday, Landau testified that she is working directly with the police commissioner on reforming the department's recruitment process.
She very much said that they're doing a full review of their hiring practices to make sure that they're not disqualifying people based on bad, old bad debt or something like that.
Parker's 2 bills are scheduled for a final vote on December 10th. For the investigators, I'm Claudia Vargas, NBC 10 News.
Philadelphia City Council today approving legislation that would remove a barrier to entering the police academy. And it's all a result of an NBC 10 investigation. Investigative reporter Claudia Vargas tells us what this means for police recruiting.
The bills on the consent agenda are passed.
In a unanimous vote, City Council approves getting rid of a legal exemption that allows the police department to use credit checks as a way to screen out applicants.
I am so thankful to you and NBC 10 for your advocacy and education.
Council Majority Leader Sherelle Parker introduced legislation following an NBC 10 investigators report this summer. That investigation detailed the racial inequities of the police academy. We found that nearly 70% of academy applicants are people of color. Yet in the last year, 29% of academy recruits were people of color. And according to the local president for the National Black Officers Association, some minority applicants were getting rejected because of bad credit or high debt.
These are issues that keep minorities and people from actually pursuing a police department career.
Today, he thanks us for our continued reporting on the matter.
I'm very much appreciated and happy that Channel 10 has taken the investigation as far as you have.
State law requires police agencies to run a credit check of academy applicants. So local police departments will still check an aspiring officer's credit. But council's intent is that having unpaid credit card bills won't keep someone out of the running for a career in law enforcement. In a statement, the police department says in part, our department will continue to work with the PCHR to review every aspect of our application process to ensure that credit reports aren't being used in a discriminatory manner. The legislation goes to Mayor Kenny's desk next.
In essence, be effective immediately once signed by the mayor.
For the investigators, I'm Claudia Vargas, NBC 10 News.